Good morning everyone. Today we are doing another narrative lesson and we are going to be collecting descriptive vocabulary for a character, and then tomorrow we will be using this vocabulary to write a full character description. So for our starter activity today we are going to be focusing on adverbs. And adverbs are words that describe a verb, and a really easy way to remember this is, well, verbs, they add more detail to a verb. Adverbs. So I just thought I'd do a little example and show you how to add an adverb onto a sentence. So this one says, I ran across the playground. Can you find the verb in that sentence? The verb is ran. So an adverb then is a word that describes how you ran. So think, how could you run? Quickly, I ran swiftly across the playground, I ran quietly across the playground, anything like that. So I'm going to go with quickly for this one. I ran across the playground, and the interesting thing with adverbs is you can put them in lots of different places. So for now, I'll put it beside the verb. So I ran quickly across the playground. If you can see here, ran is our verb. I'm going to use a different colour for our adverb. And our adverb is just beside it. I ran quickly across the playground. It's adding more detail. But the interesting thing about adverbs is I can also put them at the very start or at the very end of my sentence. So this time I'm going to write quickly, and because it's coming before the verb, I'm going to put it at the start of the sentence, a little bit like our prepositions. Quickly, comma, I ran across the playground. So again, it's exactly the same information, we've just played about with the structure. And lastly, I can put it at the very end of my sentence. So I can write, I ran across the playground quickly. So I'm just going to underline my adverbs in those two sentences. So we've got it at the front there or at the back. So usually you can put it with the verb, I ran quickly across the playground. You can put it at the very start of your sentence, quickly, I ran across the playground. Or you can put it at the end of your sentence, I ran across the playground quickly. And by changing up where we put an adverb in our sentence, makes our writing more interesting. So if we're writing a full setting description or a full character description, by swapping that around in the sentence, it means all our sentences don't sound exactly the same. They change them up, which is really lovely. So let's look at one more. I shouted at my brother. What's the verb in that sentence? The verb is shouted. So then you would think, right, what way did I shout at my brother? How can I describe that? I shouted loudly at my brother. I shouted angrily at my brother. Okay. And we can try again to put that in different places in the sentence. So it could be, I shouted angrily at my brother. Can you have a think about where else it could go in the sentence? It could also go at the start of the sentence. Angrily, I shouted at my brother. And if we did that, we'd have to put a comma after angrily. Angrily, I shouted at my brother. Because it comes before the verb, we put a comma beside it. Or you could put it at the end of the sentence, I shouted at my brother angrily. So that's a few different ways you can use adverbs. And then you're going to do your starter sheet all about adverbs. So if you'd like a little bit more information on adverbs when you go to do your starter activity, you can go into BBC Bite Size and type in what is an adverb, or I'll try and link it somewhere for you. And there's a lovely little video here to give you a little bit more information. So now let's watch a little bit more of our story.
There was once a boy, quite ordinary, like any other. He lived in an old forest cabin with his mute grandmother. There weren't too many things a lonely young boy like him could do, so he went for long forest walks, hoping he'd find something new. His ears rejoiced at the creak of a branch and crunch of a twig. He loved the smells. The forest was damp, dark, deep, and it was big. One day the boy found a black cat. He picked it up from the ground. He placed it neatly on his head, delighted with what he'd found. He grew attached to it, refusing to take it off his head. But at last, when night came, he placed it carefully by his bed. Yet little did he know of the magic about to begin. As he drifted off to sleep, strange creatures climbed out from within. The boy woke up amazed at the sight that lay before his eyes. Lizard-like birds, jewel-coloured bugs, and huge glowing butterflies.
Okay, so we are going to leave it there for now. So that's a little bit more of the story. And I know from a lot of your predictions last week, a lot of you thought that the hat was magic. So that is true. But we're not too sure yet what's going to happen next. So we're going to watch it one more time. And what I would like you to do is write down the 3 descriptions the author uses to describe the creatures that have come from the hat. So we'll just listen to that last little part again, and you need to write down the 3 descriptions used to describe the creatures that come from the hat. So all you need is a piece of paper and a pencil, and I want you to write those down for me. Or a pencil, and we'll...
He grew attached to it, refusing to take it off his head. But at last, when night came, he placed it carefully by his bed. Yet little did he know of the magic about to begin. As he drifted off to sleep, strange creatures climbed out from within. The boy woke up amazed at the sight that lay before his eyes. Lizard-like birds, jewel-coloured bugs, and huge glowing butterflies.
So, were you able to hear the 3 descriptions that the author used? Write those down, and then I'm going to hit onto the next page, and there they are going to be. So, lizard-like birds, jewelled-coloured bugs, and huge glowing butterflies. So these are the 3 descriptions that they give about the animals in the picture, these creatures in the picture. And quickly, before we go on to our work, I'm going to show you how we can write that in a list using commas. And this is the way it would be written in the book. So, lizard like birds. That's the first thing. So then we do a comma. Jeweled coloured bugs. So, jeweled coloured bugs. And then because butterflies are the last thing, we can use an and huge. And because I'm using more than one adjective here, there's huge and then there's glowing, I'm going to put a comma there just to separate those adjectives. Huge, glowing butterflies. So that is how it would be written in the book, using commas in a list. Lizard-like birds, jewelled coloured bugs, and huge glowing butterflies. So, your activity for today will be looking at this picture and choosing one of the animals or creatures in the picture. Now P5s, I don't mind if you want to choose more than one, maybe just 2 or 3, because when we come to write about it tomorrow, then you can write it into paragraphs. But P4, I'm looking for you to focus on just one of these creatures. So I'm going to look at the blue butterfly for now, for our example. And when I'm thinking of these words and phrases, I'm looking for really phrases from P4s and full sentences from P5 to describe them. I'm thinking, okay, what about the picture can I describe? Well, I can see the butterfly's wings there, its colours. Maybe you might talk about like the antenna of the butterfly, but I'm going to focus on its wings. So rather than just writing wings, I'm going to think of what adjectives I can use to describe the wings. So instead of wings, P4s, you might be thinking, okay, well, what colour is it? It's bright, it's shiny. I'm going to go for the word dazzling. So P4s, you might write something like dazzling, comma, blue, wings. So P4, I'd be happy with something like that. P5, I'm looking for you to extend it further. So what is the butterfly doing with these wings? So you might say the butterfly. And then how do butterflies move with their wings? They fly. I'm going to go with flutter. I like flutter as a verb. The butterfly fluttered. And then you might even include an adjective there. Fluttered gracefully or beautifully, gently, anything like that. Gracefully across the room with And then I can use that little phrase, dazzling blue wings. And you can swap that around, that sentence. It could be the butterfly, or a butterfly with dazzling blue wings fluttered gracefully across the room. So there's lots of different ways you can play about with saying that, okay? Or you might say the butterfly fluttered across the room with dazzling blue wings gracefully. Or again, put gracefully at the front. Gracefully, the butterfly fluttered across the room with dazzling blue wings. So P4s, like up to the top here, I'm looking for you to include a noun with an adjective to describe it, lots of little phrases, maybe even a simile in there. And P5s, I'm looking for you to extend that, okay? So you're thinking of the noun first, building around that, okay? How can we describe it? What is it actually doing? And then what adverbs can we use to describe how it's doing that? So I want you to really, really extend your work today and push yourself to be even more creative. And remember, to make your work even better and to